When you think of the Ukrainian culture, what comes to mind? Is it the delicious food? The pierogies and cabbage rolls and kolbasa? Getting hungry, aren't you? Is it the beautifully decorated eggs that we see especially at Easter time? Or is it the dancing, the shumka dancers, and the music of the Ukrainian culture? Whatever your perception may be, there is little doubt that it was the Ukrainian immigrant that worked hard to cultivate the rock-covered fields of the Canadian prairies. Ukrainian immigrants first came to Canada in the 19th century. The initial influx came as the Canadian government was promoting free land and homesteads for those to come to Canada. Although a few Ukrainian settlers arrived between 1891 and 1895, organized immigration from Galicia and Bukovina to Canada began in about 1896 and did not assume mass proportions until the early 1900s. Approximately 150,000 Ukrainian immigrants arrived between 1891 and the beginning of World War I in 1914. The second wave of immigration from the Ukraine occurred after the First World War, when the Ukraine became part of the Soviet Union as the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. Life was not easy for many Ukrainians in Canada. During the First World War, thousands of Ukrainian Canadians, including, as I've been told, my grandfather, were imprisoned as enemy aliens due to their origins in the Austro-Hungarian Empire, who along with Germany were the enemies of Canada and its allies in World War I. Nearly 8,000 Ukrainians were interned all across Canada and forced to do heavy labor even after the war had ended. As a third-generation Ukrainian Canadian, I can only imagine the hard life that those first Ukrainian immigrants had to endure. Ukrainians continue to emigrate from the Ukraine right up to the present day. And of course, we're seeing an increase due to the current war with Russia. According to the 2016 census, Ukrainian Canadians numbered about 1,400,000, or about 4% of the country's population. It's calculated that Alberta's Ukrainian population is about 380,000, or roughly about 9.3% of Alberta's population. And researching for this video and preparing for this video, I've helped reconnect to my past as a Ukrainian Canadian. Welcome to the Life in Alberta channel. This is episode 2 of Alberta Connections. The first episode focused on the rural community of Westlock. So if you've been to Westlock, go check it out. And leave a like, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell to get future notifications of upcoming videos. Sit back and enjoy today's video about Ukrainian immigration, but also about a small little town in the Ukraine where many immigrants came from. That is the town of Rohatyn. Only one of the small Ukrainian communities that have been resilient in the face of wars, invasions, and famines over the past 500 years. First documentation of the town of Rohatyn was in 1375. However, other historians date it back to as early as 1184. Rohatyn is in Central Europe and Western Ukraine, and about 70 kilometers southeast of the major Ukrainian city of Lviv. The name Rohatyn itself has quite an interesting history. As legend has it, the area back in the 1400s was ruled by the Prince of Helich. And one day, while he and his wife were out hunting, his wife got lost, and while lost, she noticed a red stag with huge antlers, and she followed it until it led her back to her husband and the hunting party. The place where the woman encountered the extraordinary animal became a primary hunting ground, and subsequently, a town emerged around it. In honor of this animal, the town boasts deer antlers in its coat of arms. And the name Rohatyn seems to have come from this situation. The Polish for antlers is rogi. The Ukrainian is pronounced rohi. And by the 16th century, Rohatyn was surrounded by a moat, ramparts, and a wooden palisade. Beginning in the 1380s, Rohatyn would remain under Polish rule for the next 400 years. One of the great stories of Rohatyn took place in the 1520s. According to legend, a young Ruthenian woman and Rohatyn native named Roxalena was abducted by Tartars as a slave, and she was selected for the harem of Suleiman I, the Magnificent. Her beauty and intelligence would gain her favor, and she would become his favorite wife, and ultimately wield great power in the Ottoman Empire. In honor of this glorious woman, in 1999, a monument to Roxalena was set up in the central square in the town of Rohatyn, replacing the former Soviet communist Lenin's monument. In the 1770s, Rohatyn would fall under Austrian imperial rule for the next 145 years. This would reach a climax in 1914, when the Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie were assassinated in the city of Sarajevo. Although the event occurred 1,000 kilometers away from the town of Rohatyn, within 4 years, it would once again result in its near total destruction. Although there are not many maps of Rohatyn over the years, there are a few that do exist. And one of them, as you see here, was during World War I, where we see some of the battle plans around the town of Rohatyn. After World War I, Rohatyn would be under the control of the Second Polish Republic, then the Soviet Union, then Nazi Germany, and then the Soviet Union again, until the fall of communism in 1991. At that point, Rohatyn would be part of the sovereign state of Ukraine. Although the town of Rohatyn would face several crisis situations in its history, it was during World War II where the town reached some of its darkest moments. On July 2nd, 1941, German Nazi troops entered Soviet-controlled Rohatyn, and in late August they established a ghetto. Here they kept Jews from Rohatyn and nearby villages until the summer of 1943. The Rohatyn ghetto took up about 1/4 of the town area. Every day, 40 to 50 people died in the ghetto of malnutrition, typhus, and dysentery. During World War II, approximately 95% of the 3,000-strong Jewish Rohatyn population were murdered in the Holocaust. March 20th, 1942, remained in Jewish memory as Black Friday. On that day, about 1,800 Jews from Rohatyn, mainly young people and children, were shot dead at the local railway station. And if you would like to learn more about the liquidation of the Rohatyn ghetto, I highly recommend reading Jack Glotzer's memoir, I Survived the German Holocaust Against All Odds, a gripping first-hand account of his experiences in Rohatyn in 1943. In the northern part of the town, opposite the municipal park, there are two memorials. One of them, established by the communist authorities, bears an inscription, "To the victims of fascism." The other, established in the post-communist Ukraine and unveiled in 1998, bears an epitaph in Ukrainian, English, and Hebrew. Its English inscription reads, "Here lie thousands of Jews, citizens of Rohatyn and its surrounding areas, who were brutally killed by the German Nazis during the years of 1942 to 1944. God rest their souls." Although a lot of Rohatyn's past has been destroyed, two sacred wooden architectural monuments have survived. The Church of St. Nicholas from 1729 has been preserved. And on a small hill, in a quiet corner of Rohatyn, lies one of the oldest wooden churches in Ukraine, the Church of the Holy Spirit from 1598. Unfortunately, the current war in the Ukraine will prevent most people from visiting this unique town. However, you can still go online and do some research. I have left links that I have used to help prepare this video in the description underneath the video. And you can even go to Google Earth and type in Rohatyn, and it will take you to this small community where you can spend some time and do some further research and look around the town yourself. In fact, let's spend a few minutes doing that. Let's go to Rohatyn. Creating this video has extra special meaning for me. And again, as a third generation Ukrainian Canadian, I don't have access to my complete history, my ancestral history. I've always wanted to look further and deeper into my ancestral roots. My grandfather, Peter, and grandmother, Anne, came from the Ukraine. I know they're from the western part of Ukraine, and maybe even from the town of Rohatyn. Because even in this small town, there were immigrants with the last name Rohatyn. How cool is that? If you've ever visited the town of Rohatyn, or you are a Rohatytonian, or if there ever is such a thing, please leave a comment under the video. And if you have any other information about this town, please send me an email. The email address is in the About section of this YouTube page. Whether it's pictures from the past or present, any kind of documents, any kind of facts and figures that I haven't mentioned in this video, I'd love to learn more about this little town. And how cool would it be to have a road sign that said, "Welcome to Rohatyn"? It might be in Ukrainian, but hey, I'd take it. Thank you so much for visiting the channel. If you found this video useful and interesting and valuable, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell for future notifications. Every little bit helps the channel. I hope you've enjoyed your tour of Rohatyn, Ukraine. Have a wonderful day.